Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5 Tips and Tricks for Careers in Athletics. I am your host, Dr. Maury Mosovitz, joined by my favorite of all time co-host, Jen Albanese. Hey, Jen.
Hello, Maury, my favorite of all time co-host. There you go.
There we go. We got to just throw those compliments around.
I know. What's going on?
Definitely, my children have gotten into my childhood sports movies, so I'm in heaven. We just did a Mighty Ducks. We watched all 3 of them over the past 5 days, and I was starting to tear up while they were quacking. It was a real experience.
Well, we have to say, I mean, sports movies definitely have that impact and that emotion. So especially the ones when you watched when you were a kid, obviously,
I know.
Maury's crying when they're quacking. So
yeah,
did they like them? Did they like the movies?
Mighty Ducks, they got into Full Throttle. They knew Charlie, and they had characters and Coach Bombay, and they're talking about the whole thing, and then they just start quacking, and you're like, this is my childhood.
This is what I wanted.
This is so great. My wife thinks it's ridiculous, and I'm like, this is the best.
She's in the other room stop playing the movie.
She doesn't like sports movies, and she has no interest in it. So,
oh my gosh,
it was
That's such
great.
a good one. There's so many good sports movies. We were just talking a little before, but one of my all-time favorites is Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year.
Float it.
Breaks his arm.
And the kids, my children, are now saying pitcher's got a big butt, and they don't even know the context, but that's so funny to me, to hear them be like, pitcher's got a big butt. And I'm like, that was such a classic line of a movie, such a classic movie, good.
Was it the same kid that was in Angels in the Outfield? Was it the same? I feel like it looked like the same kid.
It looked like the same kid. I think so.
And Sandlot.
Oh my God. There's so many good movies. And then you think about more recent,
as an adult,
adult sport movies that are so good. Moneyball is so good.
I mean, that's a great movie.
I'm partial to baseball. I love baseball. And that was such a good movie. And that was more recent.
Any Given Sunday.
Remember the Titans. I mean, we could just go on and on and on.
Miracle.
Miracle. Oh, well, my husband, obsessed with Miracle. Can recite the... He can recite a lot of things. He can recite the speech. So anytime it's on, it's one of those movies that you see and you're scrolling through the TV and you're like, you have to watch it. It's so good. That's such a good one.
Oh, we can do one that's close to home. The Express.
I know. Oh, hey, go Cuse.
Yeah, The Express. We saw the premiere of that. Yeah,
we got to be a part of that. Yeah,
we were filming that. That was pretty cool.
It's an underrated, really good movie.
It actually is a good
movie. Some really good people in it, Dennis Quaid is in it. Yeah. And really good movie.
It's a good story too. A lot of people I don't think really appreciate how
no, I don't think they appreciate
interesting a story it was.
Yeah. And a lot of it was filmed in Syracuse, on our campus.
Yeah,
so
was
that
cool.
was really cool to when they were filming up at Syracuse and seeing all of that, that was really cool. So
and then when you watch the movie, they took the dome out and they put in Archibald Stadium, and you're like, how the heck did they do that? It was neat.
Magic of the movies, Maury.
Magic of the
movies. But yeah, The Express is a good one. But there's so many good sports movies. I'm partial to A League of Their Own. Might be one of the best.
It's a good movie. I always think of the little kid on the bus.
Yes. Stillwell Angel.
The weird thing is we had a coach back in the day, and he had a child that would come on the bus, and I always would think of that with the League of Their Own, because he was terrorizing all the players. I was like, that's that kid.
It's the movie that tugs at your heartstrings at the end when they go to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and obviously we're close to the Baseball Hall of Fame, so we've been there, and that's always
so many Varsity Blues, and there's so many good ones.
Oh my God, there are a lot of good ones. Everybody tell us your favorite sports movie.
Yeah, throw it in the chat or throw it in the comments. We can do a vote somewhere.
We'll do a little, what's your favorite sports movie? So many good sports quotes come from those movies, but those are one of the ones that I feel those kind of movies are ones that you can always make and always watch.
Yeah,
because
it doesn't matter how.
There's always going to be a great sports story.
Yeah,
that people can kind of latch onto, and either they remember it from their childhood, if it's a true story, or your parents are I remember when we go back to The Express, I remember my grandma being I watched Ernie Davis play, I remember that, So that's cool. That's how you can kind of connect with those sports movies. So.
No, it is. It's awesome. And I'm so glad that the kids have gotten into it because that makes it entertaining for me. I don't have to watch the same cartoon for the 800th time.
If people are coming by your house and you're just outside quacking, they're going to know why. So
yes, Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks, baby.
With that, make sure that you listen to the rest of this podcast and then go watch your favorite sports movie. So we will see you after this break. If you're enjoying this podcast, please follow us on your favorite podcast streaming service. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast is a part of Athletic Career Consulting, a group focused on educating and guiding high school and college students looking towards careers in athletics. To find out more, go to our website at www.athcareer.com. That's ATHCAREER.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We have our guest today. We're very excited. Maury, would you like to introduce her?
Very excited. The pleasure of working with this woman through my experience with women's basketball. Today's guest was a student athlete at Louisiana Tech in both basketball and softball. She helped the Lady Techsters to 4 women's basketball Final Four appearances, 2 national championships, including the first NCAA Women's Basketball National Championship in 1982. She went on to coach as the head women's volleyball coach at Louisiana Tech, assistant women's basketball coach at Southeastern Louisiana, and assistant basketball coach and head softball coach at Georgia Southern. She also spent 4 other seasons coaching high school JV girls and boys basketball. An author of numerous publications and research abstracts in sports management, and a contributing author for Referee Magazine. Today's guest earned a bachelor's degree and master's degree from Louisiana Tech, as well as received a Doctorate of Education in 2000 from the University of Houston. She served on women's basketball officiating staffs for the Big South, Colonial Athletic, Peach Belt, Southern Athletic, Carolina, Virginia Athletic, USA South, and Old Dominion Athletic Conferences, working in 3 different NCAA Division II regional tournaments. She served as the NCAA Women's Basketball Secretary for Rules Editing from 2006 to 2014, and the NCAA Women's Basketball National Coordinator of Officials from 2011 to 2014. She currently serves as the coordinator for women's basketball officiating for the Atlantic Coast Conference, American Athletic, Atlantic 10, Big East, Big South, Colonial Athletic, Metro Athletic, and Ivy League conferences. I can't believe I even got all this out, Debbie.
Nice job,
You did good. Exciting to welcome Debbie Williamson, who is just a pleasure. She's got so much experience, and we're so lucky to have you on this podcast. Thanks,
Hi, Debbie. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. That's what happens when you interview someone who's lived this long. It just gets long.
Well, it has nothing to do with life. It has to do with all the experience and things that you do. So we're so lucky to have you.
No, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Well, yeah. I don't want to jump in too quickly, but I really do want to ask you, you hear a lot about officials in this country and the need for them, especially at all levels. Is it true that officials are needed out there in the world of basketball, but just anywhere? And then also, how do you become an official?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to play the games without referees. There are very few sports that are going to be willing to let players call the fouls.
Right.
So
exactly.
If we don't have officials and the proper number to enforce the rules and adjudicate the rules of the games, we're not going to be able to play. And that's what we're seeing at lower levels, where there is such a shortage that they're having to cancel games and players are not having the opportunities to play. So at Division I, we're not seeing the shortages that some others are seeing, but that's our pipeline. So I think we're going to feel it eventually. But we absolutely need officials, and we need former players that want to come over. We now have former coaches that are coming over. I was one of those.
Yeah.
But to become an official, depending upon the sport, the season, what we call your real job is, your full-time job during the day, is that going to allow you to get off? Because a lot of lower level games are being played before 5 p.m.
Yep.
Are you willing to take some vacation time to go to camps and get training? It's just, there are so many pieces to it but the people who want to do it are finding ways to make it work. And I'm just so proud to say that we do have a lot of former players, and we even have people who have never played who are wanting to come over and are now refereeing at a high level. But I think depending upon the level, if you want to do college ball, you've got to get started at Division III and Division II usually, and connect with somebody like me in your area and just say, hey, how can I get started? I started a program called Player to Ref, and we took former players and ran them through some basics, put them out on the floor, ran behind them, told them what to do, where to go, reminded them to put the whistle in their mouth, all the basic things. And now some of them are actually refereeing for me at Division I. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's so
it really
cool.
is.
That's
So
so cool.
just getting started, go do rec league. There's usually some local training opportunities right around, and just get on the field. There's a need, and don't listen to people out in the stands. Just put your head down and go,
We'll get to
Don't
those
listen
tips
to the
in
fans.
a second.
Yeah.
Well, Debbie, we appreciate that. And just all those people out there that, might not have had experience in athletics before, but want to jump in. Officiating is an awesome way to do that. And, find someone like Debbie, and they're out there and get connected, because we need officials. So thanks, Debbie, for that. And with that,
Sure.
What would be your first tip or trick that you'd like to offer?
Well, I think, my career in athletics is, I did not have a goal to officiate. In fact, I really didn't. My husband was officiating when we married, and he was also in college athletics as a business manager. He has his degree in accounting and his MBA, and he was a business manager, ticket manager. He's now the deputy athletic director at Houston Christian University.
Yep.
And so we've been married 38 years, and all 38 have been in college athletics.
Oh my gosh,
there you
that's
go.
incredible. That's incredible. Oh my God.
Some way or another. But I think back on that, and when I decided to stay home and raise my kids and homeschool them for 8 years, there was just, I couldn't just say, no, I don't feel like going to practice today, So the coaching thing really wasn't where I couldn't commit what needed, the kind of commitment that needed to be. And officiating was really the only thing you could call in and go, hey, kid, got a sick kid, I can't go. And someone else could just step in and take your place. So I think, one of the things is, what is your passion? Like basketball was my passion.
Yeah.
And even though officiating was the furthest thing from my mind, it was my only pathway to get back into basketball, because I wasn't able to play or coach, which I had done my entire life. When I wasn't doing that and I was having babies, I was doing research on basketball. But so I would say you've got to know where your passion is. And when I was writing my dissertation, I don't know about you, Maury, but when I was going, what do you write on? Like, I'm spending all this time and money. I didn't even start my doctorate till I was pregnant with my third, and homeschooling these kids. And God. I just thought, and they said, find something you're passionate about, because you will do anything for your passion.
Right.
So I think as you're considering a career in athletics, you have to. I mean, generally, we're gifted in the areas of the things we're we're gifted at the things we're passionate about. Now, I would say I would like to be better at some things that I'm passionate about. So it's not, a no-fail thing to say, an absolute to say you will be gifted at the things you're passionate about, but you've got to at least start there. This podcast is a great example that, of a good work of something you're passionate about, and you guys have just decided to pursue it, and you figured it all out, and you're doing it, and it's going to help a lot of people. This is probably the best example, this podcast, of exactly what I'm talking about.
Well,
you will find a way to do the things you're passionate about. And I would say, secondly, it's a calling.
Yeah.
Like I say all the time, and of course, I'm a Christian. My faith is my core. And so all along, both my husband and I stand, like, we feel like we've really just been pulled into something that we've been equipped for.
Right.
As college athletes, high school athletes. It was more than just, yeah, we play ball,
Right.
and honestly, like that coaching job, a volleyball job, I still
Yeah.
don't know anything about volleyball. I mean, they asked me to do it. They said,
That's
here's
awesome.
$1,000, start the Louisiana Tech volleyball team. And I'm like, I need money and I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I did. I was like 22 or something. And you're looking back 40 years later, you go, oh my God, I was the first volleyball coach ever at this place.
Right.
That's
And all
amazing.
I needed was like money. The same thing with the head softball job. Like I had played college softball, no desire to coach softball. They're like, we need a softball coach. You're it. And I'm like, please don't make me do this. So, I mean, and honestly, my husband got the ticket manager job at University of Houston and we moved and I didn't have to do it. And I was just like thanking God. So, so like we might have to do some things along the way that we're
Right.
not passionate about,
Yeah.
but that we
Yep.
feel like, okay, let me just take this next step until, I hit a wall. And all the while in the distance, being able to see a goal ahead of just, I
Yeah.
want to be the very best I can be. And what do I have to offer? I told my kids, we've lost some jobs along the way and kids were just destroyed, like, oh God, we have to move. And,
Yeah.
it's just life. And I used to say to them, you see when your dad used to have to sign scholarship papers, he'd have this big stack and he would take one off the top and sign it and put it over here when you had to manually actually sign
Yeah.
the scholarships. And I would just say to them, like, there's nothing that happens to us that God didn't sign off on and put it in
Yeah.
this stack, and then we're just going to keep going, whatever's in front of us, and we're not going to settle. But we feel like it's a calling on our lives to be able to use what we have been gifted with, and that includes all the hard times, and
Yep.
all the difficult, getting through school and all the other hard things that we've done over time to be able to even to be a part, honestly, because in
Yeah.
athletics, sometimes, he worked a lot when the kids were little.
Yeah.
He was at a bowl game or he was at this or that. So I think, again, just being called, and I've said all along, like, being married to who I believe is the right person has been huge,
Yeah.
because we partner in everything. And
I would say
when
that's probably your second tip, right? Like you
Yeah,
have
it
to have
is,
the right partner.
you got to have the
Oh
right
my gosh.
partner,
They got
and
to
that started,
understand it.
yes, long before we knew what we were going to do. Like I said, I never dreamed either one of us we'd end up doing all those things, but we feel like the calling isn't just for me, it isn't just for Stan, it's
Yeah.
for both of us. And then
Yeah.
when we had our kids, it
It's
was a
for your
calling
family.
for our family.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that you're right, that's the second tip, is it's a calling for your whole family. And honestly, like we are not smart enough to have figured this out and made all these really good decisions. Again, we just really have trusted and taken steps where we felt like we were called.
Well, Jen and I have had that conversation too. You can't really do, especially if you want to do it at a high level like you have, you can't really do this alone. You have to do it with your family. You have to make sure that you make those decisions together and do these things that's right for you as a group. And
Yeah, and then they want to do it with you. They have to be a part of it. It's not going to work if the other isn't on the same page. So
No, and
that's a good
we
one.
moved to places I had never heard of, and I cried all the way over there. And in one of the moves, like we had a walkie-talkie. I was driving a moving truck, pulling a car. He
Oh
was driving a
my
moving
oh
truck,
my
pulling a car.
gosh.
And we had kids in car seats in a moving truck. It was just,
Oh my God.
they were babies, and they would take the walkie-talkie and they would say, "She's crying again." But it was just, you push through, and honestly, like where we moved to on that move, our oldest met her spouse 10 years later.
See?
Wow.
Like it was
See.
meant to be.
That's what I'm saying.
so
Like we're not
cool.
smart enough. Had I made the
Right.
decision, it would not have been there.
Because you
Yeah.
cried
Then
the
the
whole way.
next
You would
time
have said no.
no. And then the next time in a similar situation, another child met a spouse.
Oh my
Oh, wow.
gosh.
Moving to a place we would have I never heard of. So, and great friends along the way. And because our career's been in athletics, we've met so many people through all the stops. I think
Yeah.
5 states maybe that we've
Wow.
lived in, that now my husband is actually hiring people that were
Yeah, that's
just
Yeah.
like not even in college at the time, because we've watched their path and
They're-
the
Yeah.
whole
right.
thing just kind of has ballooned.
awesome.
Oh, that's so cool.
Well,
That's
I think
awesome.
Jen always has to keep me on track, but I think we're on number
Okay,
3
yes,
now.
Number 3.
Yeah.
We're on tip
So I
3.
think number 3 is there are some things you can never get back.
Yeah.
So, let's see, how did I write? I wrote it down. It said, don't give up what you can't get back.
Yeah.
So missing the birthdays, missing, I missed my daughter's state championship game because I was refereeing a college tournament. Why did I do that? I cannot, and I tell my referees all the time, turn the game in, close it out, close birthdays, anniversaries, like things that you just cannot get back. I can't tell you how many times I've said to people, well, now, when is your wife due?
Yeah.
And what are you doing in Syracuse?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, she's going to go into labor. She's never going to forgive you. You cannot do this game.
Right.
And you're going to
You
be
either
snowed
make-
in.
You either make this decision, you make this decision, or I have to make it for you. But I would just encourage people, like, don't sell your soul for your job or for something that's going to pass. Now, we've made the sacrifices, we've made bad decisions, we're going to live with those as far as missing special events and that sort of thing. But I just want to encourage people going into it in athletics, especially in this climate. I mean, none of our kids are in athletics.
Yeah.
They just said, we don't want to work that hard. And I'm not trying to discourage anybody,
Right.
but we work, and I mean work. And it looks like, for me, been all over the world.
Yeah, you're always
doing
traveling.
this work. I'm always on the road. I'm usually in a
Right.
hotel about, 270 nights a year. But
Oh my gosh.
it's how I choose to do my business. And I
Yeah.
may not always do this. But I would just say, I'm also like, our kids are gone. Like I tease, like they don't need me right now.
Right.
And honestly, when I gave up my career to raise my kids, it was with that in mind,
Yeah.
and then the referee side kind of took off and things started turning into different things and writing the rule book and being responsible for the national program. And now 10 years as a conference coordinator of officials. I didn't even know people did this job. And I had already spent 15 years on the college campus teaching. So
Yeah.
I just think, you look up and things go by quickly and you just can't get some things back.
It's
And
funny
guess
because
what? When I said, Lord, I would really like to have basketball back at some point if it's in your will.
Right.
And I did. I backed
It
off
happened.
of it.
Yeah.
And Lord, did it happen. I have more than I want half the time, but
Now you're known nationally across the country as the person involved
never
with
saw it
basketball.
coming. But there's a verse that says, commit your way to the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And I feel like, we did it. We stepped out in faith and said, we can't afford to do this. It makes 0 sense. I have all these school loans, we're in debt up to our ears, but you know what? We are going to raise our own kids. And we did until they went to high school. And, that was what we were called to do.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I took them to ball games. They, they were part of an athletic family of the entire university. And that's the beauty of being our kids learn how
culture.
to ride their bike and
that's
drive in the same gym at the same gym parking lot.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you say about don't give in and give up on birthdays and all these special situations, because I think very early on in people's career in athletics, they think that that's something that they have to do. And the older you get, the wiser you get, you realize that it's not a necessity. People don't think less of you because of it.
Right.
And if you're a person that's in a management position, you encourage your staff to take the time. You encourage that that
work-life balance.
There needs to be a balance. And I think it's absolutely essential.
And then you set those boundaries.
Yes, and it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Yes, and it is. In certain positions you can. Sometimes compliance, finance, the ones where you're not on the road, you're not having to,
you're not at all the games.
You're not at every game in every sport. Like you have to choose your field path within athletics, athletic trainers and game managers like Maury, where you're the first one in the gym, you're the last one, you turn the lights on, you turn the lights off. But I'll tell you what we did is we brought our kids, and that's why one of the reasons we chose to homeschool.
Yeah.
We conquered everywhere we lived. We conquered a 6-hour radius, and we went with him everywhere we could go. And our kids have been to places and games that Final Fours and conference tournaments and all kinds of places they don't even remember.
Jen's kids were at the office today.
My kids were with me at the office today. And that, like I said before, like it's a family decision. So like they come to all the soccer games and they come to the football games and they like it. And, I'm hoping that they're getting something out of it and memories that they're together with me. And my husband's a good support as well. Like he loves sports, so he's always wanting to bring them as well. But that's part of it, because if not, there would be nights. We would be a lot of nights. Let's be real. A lot of nights you'd be separated from them. But I think Maury and I have both gotten so much better at that. As we've gotten older, like, in marketing and game experience, that's what I do. Like it is something that's a lot of time commitment, and to have your family a part of it and want to be there too, it kind of helps that. That whole dynamic.
Me, it's fine. I don't want to off track too, but the thing that I've really liked is my children get to meet the student athletes and get to have role models about things. I've taken my daughter to women's basketball games and tennis, and she's gotten to see these young women and men, but I do appreciate the young women that like just come up to her and show work ethic and show her what they can do. And, my son's a little younger, so he hasn't done it as much, but it is a nice experience as a professional in the world of athletics to be able to.
It's just a non-traditional thing. They were like, oh my gosh, you're going to take these kids on the road trip. And, when I had my daughter in November and I was coaching, back then you had a bassinet. We put the bassinet in the second seat of the bus, and she had been by the time she was 3 weeks old, she had been in 5 states. I mean, we were just like, this is what you need to do. This is what we do. It's not abnormal, but everywhere we've lived, we've been, even our kids would say, Mom, they think we're like, really strange because we don't have a traditional bedtime, and we don't have we're out, at a ball game, and we're sweeping the floors and we're helping Dad pick up the gym after But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. People have to figure it out for themselves. And you got to know that what you're doing, that you believe in what you're doing and how you're doing it. And if it doesn't look like everybody else's, fine. That's not the biggest issue. It's just got to be what is best for your family.
No, that's awesome. Okay. We're going into number 4. So
yes,
I think it must have blended in with everything else. I would number 4 is actually, and I have it written here, you decide your priorities. Yeah. Which is exactly. Now, again, you're going to work for different people who are under a lot of pressure. Yeah. And you can't expect, like if I was to say, a lot of the things Stan deals with now as a deputy athletic director, and even me as a supervisor of officials, is people want us to accommodate them. And all of these other things that we talked about. Well, to some degree, we have a job to do. Yeah. And you know what? I can't wait till tomorrow to figure out if you're actually going to, go to the first recital or not. You got to make a decision based on your priorities. Right. I don't even care why you close the date out. If you can't referee on this day, I don't really care. If you're getting a haircut, you're going to your daughter's recital, or, you're just sleeping in. I don't really care. Just close the date out, because I have a job to do, and I don't have all day. I can't put myself and my job in jeopardy and my family in jeopardy waiting for you to make a decision. So figure it out, and then don't expect the whole world to accommodate you because it hurts your feelings.
Yeah.
You know, to some degree, you know, you got to suck it up and do the work. And whatever's on the other side of it, you got to be ready to deal with that too. But my point was, you decide your priorities.
Yeah.
Now, how you do that, your value system, all those things, you just got to know that once you make that decision and you make that commitment, that not everybody else is going to lay down and make it happen for you.
Right.
You know, if
that's a level of professionalism. You have to be able to communicate what you have going on, what you're doing, and make sure that that works with what you're doing as an organization. And that's
in a timely manner.
Yeah.
You can't say, I want this and I want this when they both can't coexist.
They can't exist.
Exactly.
And somebody like me is going to be the one to tell you that can't happen. And, you know, you can't have an expectation of, well, no, it's on you to make this happen. And this culture today, just even in the last 5 or 6 years, is so different. Like, okay, so I'm at basketball camp.
Yeah.
So when I open up, I put on the website, registration will open on this day at noon. And within 6 minutes, it's closed. Like, we can't take anymore. It's just,
it's crazy.
And I take them in the order they come.
Right.
Yeah. And I can't tell you, early on, people were like, well, you know, but, you know, I was at a stoplight and I was, you know, I hate to say, like, okay, that's too bad.
Right. You knew what time it opened. Like,
this is what you got to just figure it out. And we're not all going to just, you know, lay everything down to accommodate you. And, you know, like, I'm going to stand up in front of 160 officials this weekend, and I'm going to say, okay, guys, when I said do not reply to this email, just go to the app and complete your profile. Everybody who said confirm, hit reply and said confirmed, failed the test.
Didn't listen to the instructions.
It's part of your job interview. Seriously, like, I really didn't need 160 people hitting reply saying, thank you so much. You know, you're wonderful. I don't care. I need people to listen to instructions. So, you know, there's a hard line position for people in athletics because we're on timelines. We have deadlines. We answer to a lot of people. There's a lot of money involved at every level. And we cannot just be focused on you. And
absolutely.
That's the harsh reality that I think that we're dealing with for a lot of people who are just coming out and getting into the business because they didn't realize how hard it was, how much time it took, and they didn't really discipline themselves in high school or in those early college years by getting up, working all day, working late at night, you know, getting your feelings hurt, and getting right back up and doing the same things over and over. I was listening to a podcast this morning from Passion City Church, and ironically, they were doing an interview with a job search firm.
Oh, wow.
And headhunters. And they were talking about, you know, what advice would you give? And the guy says, as a headhunter, he goes, whatever you do and stick it out for 2 years. Now, I don't know if there's a basis for this, but he goes, it shows a lot about you sticking it out and
commitment.
Even if you don't like it, do it well. You know, all of these
people
things.
know if you're jumping from one thing to the other because you can't figure it out. Well, Debbie, that was great. Jen, we got the last question.
All right, last one. So, Debbie, what do you know now that you wish you knew then? So what do you know now at this point in your career that you wish you knew at the start of it?
Even if someone had told me how fast things were going to go, I would not have believed them.
Yeah.
So that things go, time is moving, and it's not slowing down. It's not stopping for anything or anybody. So don't waste it on things that don't matter. Oh shoot, I had another thought. I would say too, on top of that, is that the hard things matter. how you respond to hardship almost defines you.
Yeah.
Because people are watching to see how you're going to respond when you get fired and you should not have gotten fired.
Right.
When you get, you know, accused of something that could not be further from the truth.
Yeah.
When there's some kind of injustice done to you, or you lose a game that you shouldn't have lost, or
right.
you had no control over any of it, people are watching to see how you can respond. So your response to hardship, I think, is a very defining moment for you and how you use it going forward, because the best things in life come through the fire.
Yeah.
And we don't want to ask for the fire. We want to avoid the fire.
Right.
But the truth is, it's coming, especially if you stand on integrity.
Yep.
And you tell the truth, and you are firmly rooted and grounded in the truth. It's going to come. And if you don't compromise and you stay true to your calling and to your morals, and for me, you know, to my faith and just where I believe Christ is in my life and in my career, trouble is going to come. And how we respond to that, be it with grace, unmerited favor, or bitterness, defines people. And word gets out. And that'd be the last thing I would say is, and I used to say this to my students when I was teaching at NC State, is the circle is really small.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's too small.
The circle in athletics, I don't care. Word gets out.
Yeah.
The good and the bad. Who's lazy, who shows up, who's late, who knocks it out of the park. You don't think anybody's watching. And not only is someone watching, but someone who can impact your career.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
Debbie, this has been awesome. We so much appreciate your time.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
This was such a great conversation. I feel like I learned so much. I'm like inspired right now. So that's awesome.
Thank you guys.
Well, enjoy camp. Hope it's a great experience. I know you're going to be really busy.
Be awesome.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you this upcoming season. I'm sure we'll talk a couple times.
Yeah,
and,
thank you so much for what you do, Maury, man. You knock it out of the park. You're excellent at what you do. If anybody wants to learn game management, you need to look no further, because like I said, we've done this business for almost 40 years and in college athletics, and he's really, really good at what he does. So
thank you. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to host you. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you guys. It's nice
everyone
to meet
out
you.
there. Yeah, everyone out there that are interested in the podcast, please make sure to follow us so you can get us every week. And Jen, share the socials. What do you got?
So make sure you follow us on all of our social channels at Ath Career Pod. And again, Debbie, thank you so much.
And thank you, Jen. It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
See everybody soon.
See you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye. If you like the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can rate and review us, including questions that may be answered on future episodes. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast for careers in athletics is part of Athletic Career Consulting. Check us out at www.athcareer.com. Don't forget to follow and like us on your top social media platforms.